Loop from Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek. This week's show will have lots of news, plus we're going to be talking about The Wicker Man. It's a film about a police officer who goes to an island to find a missing girl and finds a lot more than he bargained for when he gets there.
Wicker for sale!
Larry,
Wicker!
What are you doing?
I'm the Wicker Man, selling wicker!
Okay, I get it. You're a man who's selling wicker.
You want wicker?
No, I do not want wicker.
But I'm the Wicker Man. Do you want wicker?
I'll take two!
In a world filled with intergalactic space battles, metahuman destruction on a global scale, and psychopathic serial hauntings, there's only one team who can make sense of it all. When your world is overrun with rampant pop culture, call Loop and Larry, Guardians of Geek.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've decided to ignore the explosion. Maybe it'll just go away.
It never goes away.
I know it doesn't, because we paying attention to it.
You can't open a show without a good explosion.
Well, that is true.
Usually.
All right, I love the explosion. Come on, who am I kidding?
I know, you gotta love it. Hey, it's Loop.
And Larry.
And this is Guardians of Geek, and thank you for joining us once again. We take a look at the latest news, and of course we go in the Pop-Capacitor. It's all happening in one show. I can't believe we can power pack it all into one.
Usually that's like 4 or 5 shows.
Yeah,
but we compress it.
For anyone else, 4 or 5 shows.
That's right. We are so talented. We have this down so tight.
So precise that
we can get it all into one show. It's a 12-hour show, but we get it all into one.
We'll get it into one. So how have you been?
I've been doing well. I did a little movie theatering this weekend.
Oh, nice.
That's what it's called when you go to the movies, movie theatering.
I honestly haven't been to a movie in a while. I've been kind of sick, so you might hear it in my voice. It sounds like a bag of nails.
That's true.
I have a bit of a chest infection. It's almost gone, but it's like.
But you don't want to be movie theatering with a nasty cough.
No, and nothing better in a podcast with someone that's like, well, yeah, okay.
That's true.
I saw a movie the other day.
We're very impressed that you're actually here today.
Yeah, I'll make it when it comes to geek news.
That's right.
So what movie did you go see?
I went to see the new Child's Play.
Oh, okay.
I know.
This one interests me. I don't know where it kind of stands. Okay, so
here was my thought originally. I'm a huge fan of Child's Play, of the whole franchise.
Yes.
Loved the originals when they came out. The first 3 are still my favorites, even though the first one is really the only good one. But I just think they're fun, and it's a neat take on horror and that sort of thing. So when I heard that they were rebooting it, I was kind of excited. I thought, hey, this is neat. You know, with technology now and the way horror movies are going, I thought this is going to be terrific. So I've been really excited to go see this thing. So for those who don't know, and I won't spoil much of it, but it's a totally different take on Child's Play. So Chucky, and this isn't a spoiler because it's in the trailers. Chucky is no longer a serial killer. He's like an Alexa,
an environmentalist who
goes out to save the planet. But so he's more of a technology gone wrong kind of situation now. So I wasn't really sure what to expect, but I was really, and the verdict is.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Okay, thumbs up. He looks different too, right?
He's now a buddy doll. That's the brand of doll. So it's a buddy doll. So they could get away with making them look a little different. Plus technology has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
So but I think if they were going to reboot it, this was the best way to go. It's modern. It's a modern take on it. So it's not. It's all about technology, and it plays on that whole fear of our phones listening to us, and
Black Mirror-ish.
It totally is. Okay. That's exactly what I thought when I came out. I thought if Black Mirror was going to do an episode with a killer doll, this is exactly the thing.
Okay, all right. I'm liking where that's going.
Yeah, so it's very much like an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, I'm a big Black Mirror fan.
You are a Black Mirror. So this, I think you'd really like it. I mean, it's got its cheesy moments.
Yeah.
And but the thing is that whole franchise does. Yeah. So like every movie,
we expect a bit of that in there.
That's
for sure.
Right. But I really think that they did a good job in giving it a modern twist, and I thought it was great. I enjoyed it all the way through. I laughed. It's not like terrifyingly scary because it's a doll with a knife, and but it's just a lot of fun. It really they did a great job. It won't be the best horror movie you see all year, but it's definitely worth going out and taking a look at it.
I'm gonna bring a new thing into the show called a T or D.
Oh yes.
Is it a theater or is it a digital?
Oh, a T or D. This one is.
Like, could you get away with waiting till it comes on to like a streaming service, or do you Do you need to rush out and see this at the theater?
You know what? I honestly think that you're going to enjoy it more in the theater.
Yeah.
Because if you watch it at home on a digital streaming service or something like that, you're not going to have that big scale impact.
Right.
And it may not be quite as good.
Okay, I understand.
You know, so I think, I mean, you don't need to rush out to see it, but I think it's a better time in the theater, this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a definite T for me.
Okay. I'll try to check that. Most movies are better in the theater, but there are some that I'm like, you could have probably wait to video on it. Yeah.
No, you go out to the theater on this one.
That's awesome.
And how about you? What have you been up to?
I've been buying more pop figures. I am so addicted to these stupid things, and I keep saying, okay, I'm only going to collect ones in this genre or this genre, and they keep just releasing these weird ones, and they just released all the Ghostbusters.
Oh, of course.
And I think I posted it on Loop and Larry. I think maybe on our Instagram.
Yep.
And I went out and bought the whole set.
Of course.
Because the thing is, when you go to see these things, and I don't know if you're a pop figure collector like I am.
Nobody's a pop figure collector like you are. Actually.
Well, there probably is, I imagine.
Maybe.
But when you see them, if you see a whole set, you just should buy the whole set.
Yeah.
Because what happens is then you got to start hunting for that last one. So when I saw all the Ghostbusters, I'm like, I just bought them all.
And they were all individual. Like it wasn't a pack.
No, they were just all individual. It's like when I saw I'm a big fan of Voltron, and when they put out the Voltron ones, I saw all 6, and I'm like, I just bought the whole set.
Right.
Because I have Queen, and I had to go searching for Brian May,
right?
Because I couldn't get, I didn't have the whole set. But
have you found Brian?
I have.
May?
He's now. I've got the entire Queen is in my possession now. But yeah. So it's like, so I bought the whole thing. But they look good. Like they're really cool looking pops. So
they are actually pretty cool. Cool.
And what I do is I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I try to put them, like I have big movie shelves, so I put them with the movies, like in the range of the movies that they represent. So if you look at my movie shelf, you go, okay, Ghostbusters must be in that area because they're there. So
yeah,
it's
it's cool. You've got like a mini comic book store in your house.
It's kind of like that. There's 2 others that I'm debating on. I do not need these at all.
Okay, which ones?
It's like Fred Sanford and Lamont. They literally.
Yeah, you kind of do need those.
I kind of do. I do.
You kind of need them.
They may end up in my collection.
No, they will.
I'm like, why are these out? Like, it's such a weird. Like, who is like that would collect pops now?
Yeah.
I guess maybe in my age group if they do, but that would remember Sanford and Son.
Seriously, it's like having a Trapper John MD.
Yeah, it's just a weird. Like they have Jefferson's ones too, but I'm like, it's just an oddball series to make pops of. Like I'm like Sanford and Son. Like that's so bizarre that I almost need to own it.
I think you really do because it is so odd. It's so like off key. I think you kind of need to pick those up. You're going to be the only one only one who owns them.
They might be one of ones.
They might.
Like, it's like you know.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sad if you don't collect these and you can't find them again.
I will get them. Well, let's head into news. Oh, I see the intro coming right now.
Happening right now, we're watching several stories around the world.
Nothing's riding on this except freedom of the press and maybe the future of the country.
No more paranoid on-air rants about the supernatural.
Here's what's making news.
It makes me laugh every time.
By the way, I just want to mention that Larry produced all these little openers and stuff. They all sound amazing.
Yay!
So, I love them. They're great. All right.
They're funny. They still make me laugh.
There you go.
Okay, so news. We got some news. We don't have a lot of news this week, but the news that we have is really good.
Okay, let's get
so we'll just jump right into the movie news. Starting right at the top, we've got Jordan Peele. I think we've talked about this before. He's rebooting the Candyman horror movie franchise. Yeah. Rebooting it, and that he's now released a little bit of information about the content and the sort of plot details. It's not so much plot, but content of this. And apparently, this is going to be the theme of this movie is going to be toxic fandom.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which is really interesting. And I was wondering how long it was going to take before somebody addressed this, because we've talked about this on the show before, how fans have just like gone over the top with their demands and how entitled a lot of fans have become with, different shows, Game of Thrones, Star Wars,
right?
Everything. There's a petition. If there's a petition you can come up with, some fan has come up with it to try to change something about things they like.
And these are fans that could in no way ever write a movie.
Exactly.
Like, they have no skill to do so.
Yeah.
And they're ideas people, and they just think that they know what's going on.
Exactly.
Right?
And they think that they deserve to have the kind of entertainment they want, not the kind that people want to make, but the kind that they want. So apparently Jordan Peele is addressing this issue in Candyman with the toxic fandom. Yeah. So I'm actually really intrigued by how that's going to go down. And in a horror setting, who knows what what he could do with that. So I think that's interesting, and maybe it will teach some people a thing or two.
Anything in a large group, like I find this if I go into any sort of situation where there's a large group of something like an old age home. Yeah.
Why would you be going there?
I don't know, but it's like, you know what I mean. Like anything in a large group, like that could be riotous. Like
Yes.
like I remember going to Fan Expo once, and they closed down the escalators.
Oh yes,
because I don't remember the story
Yeah.
because they're over capacity.
Yeah.
And people were. I was at the front of like the line. They're only letting people up once in a while, and people were getting so mad. It was becoming like almost like a riot of people.
Yeah,
like
I
it's like,
remember
guys, like settle down.
Yeah,
like,
you felt like nervous.
I was nervous because they started pushing, and like, you know, when the crowd starts to sway because people
Yeah.
are pushing and that people are yelling things, and I'm like, this is scary.
Yeah,
this is
I mean,
like frightening.
and in real life, they're just looking for their new pop vinyl.
Yes.
Like, it's not.
Yes.
This is not urgent, people.
No, nothing of this is urgent. Just like
No.
just go and enjoy things and calm down a little bit. I
Yeah.
mean, it's good to have an opinion, of course.
Well,
but
yeah, and
but
everybody's
it's like,
allowed their opinion, but
when it comes down to it, the way it's done is the way it's done, and whether you accept it or not. But at least you can have, you know.
exactly, move on. And there's always going to be something in the past that you can like cling on to that you'll still enjoy, like if that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah, I think this is going to be interesting.
Perfect.
So speaking of horror, we're doing a lot of horror talk this episode. The new trailer for the Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep, came out a little bit ago.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this.
I
yet.
have not seen that.
I was so excited. The Shining is in my top 5 movies of all time. I've seen it. More
Yeah,
than,
you're a big Shining fan.
Love The Shining. I've seen it probably a couple of dozen times at least.
Yeah.
And I have purposely not read. So Dr. Sleep was actually written by Stephen King as a follow-up, a sequel to The Shining, and it is now about Danny Torrance, the little boy from The Shining, is now grown up and he's an adult and dealing with his trauma from his childhood and his father, and now he's an alcoholic, and it goes from there.
Yeah.
It was actually written by Stephen King and his son, Joe Hill, and it was written as a book. So I purposely didn't read the book because I assumed that they were going to be making a movie of this. I didn't see how they could possibly not, and I didn't want the movie to be spoiled. So now I'm very excited. So the trailer has dropped, and what's most interesting to me about this trailer is when The Shining came out in 1980, Stephen King railed against it. He did not like this movie at all because it deviated from his book so much that he felt like it was an abomination. So he did not.
He enjoyed the miniseries more, right?
Well, yeah, and he produced the miniseries,
Okay.
the one for TV.
Well, that's why he liked it more.
That's why he liked it more, yeah. And it was pretty close to the book because I've read the book and the miniseries was pretty close. I prefer the movie. But anyway, what's interesting is that this movie, the trailer for the movie, has several scenes from The Shining, from the original movie.
Oh, yeah.
So Danny Torrance goes back to the Overlook Hotel, and you see these scenes that Stanley Kubrick designed in the original movie. So Stephen King has now sort of, given the okay to include scenes as opposed to just sort of breaking away from the original movie and creating something entirely new. They've embraced the original 1980 movie and made it into as part of this new one. So I'm doubly excited about it. So that's pretty neat. So
well, the thing is, no one remembers the miniseries. Or like if you're going from that, people only really remember the original movie.
Exactly. And I actually have a DVD copy of the miniseries, which I've watched a couple times. It's not that good.
And hopefully the kid that actually played him isn't in it. Because remember, didn't we see him somewhere and he couldn't remember anything that happened on the set?
Yeah, the kid from 1980. Yeah, Danny Torrance. We met him at a fan expo, and I was, of course, very excited to meet Danny Torrance. And he was, I think, 6 at the time, and so we were asking him all these questions about what the set was like, and almost every answer was, "Yeah, I don't remember."
And why would he? Like, it's like so.
He was 6.
Like, it's just, it was so long ago. Like, why would you remember any of that? Like,
Exactly.
I mean,
So-
it'd be obviously images you'd remember, but
but
funny.
not too much. But anyway, it was still neat to meet him. So that's happening. Moving on, Quentin Tarantino apparently has written a script for a new Star Trek movie. What? What is
so
up with
weird.
that? And it is an R-rated Star Trek movie.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't understand it. And there is the quote is, there is a very big possibility that he will direct. I cannot fathom what that would look like.
It's so weird. Like, is it like based on like the original, or is it like a sort of its own thing? Or
I don't know any of the details. This is what I've gotten so far. This is what the industry has told me. So I don't know much more than this.
Via fan sites.
Exactly. So as soon as the fans tell me more, I'll tell you.
Okay, perfect. Excellent.
But yeah, I mean, Quentin Tarantino doing a Star Trek movie, that's bizarre to me. But apparently it's happening, and it's R-rated.
I feel like there'd be
some
some weird twist on it or something.
I think so, yeah, exactly. It'll be a revenge movie of some sort.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Also, there has been an announcement that a new Hunger Games prequel novel is coming out in 2020, which I don't think is very surprising at all. In fact, I remember when the last movie ended, thinking to myself, I am quite certain that at some point they will reboot this series and make it about the early years.
Yeah.
And now they have. So it's coming out. It's coming out in 2020. Like I said, it takes place 64 years before the first book, and it deals with the time just after the war and during the reconstruction of Panem. And apparently those are called the Dark Days.
Okay.
So so that's where it is. So it's not going to include any of the characters from the original Hunger Games. It'll be all new. Sounds like it's going to be, I mean, as dark as the Hunger Games were, and they were pretty dark, it sounds like this is going to be even darker. And of course, Lionsgate is eyeing the movie rights. So
Yeah.
there will be another at least 3 or 4 Hunger Games movies
For
coming.
sure there will. Yeah.
It might be a couple of years, but they're coming. So there's that. Pixar. We've been talking a lot about Pixar because Pixar is one of Loop's favorite.
Yeah, I love a good Pixar movie. Yes.
Movies,
So, okay, go on.
Okay, so we've talked about Onward. Onward is the next movie that's coming out in 2020. But then they've announced a movie that will follow that one. That one is called Soul, and it's directed by Peter Docter, who also directed Up and Inside Out.
All right, I'm out.
Oh. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I walked out of Up.
What?
I saw the first half of it and I hated it so much.
And you got up and left?
I got up. I got in a balloon and I just was out of there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, but have you seen Inside Out?
No.
Oh,
It looks. No.
It is so good. It is so. I'm telling you. It. Forget the fact that it's animated. It is one of the best movies that came out that year, whatever year that was that it came out. It is so good.
Whatever.
So good. Oh, yeah. We're going to fight about this later. So this one is called Soul, and it's essentially, I guess, a cosmic journey into what makes you, you. Which sounds very much like a follow-up to Inside Out.
Yeah.
And if it is, I'm all in because Inside Out was the best movie I've ever seen.
I'd love to put all the clips of you saying this is the best movie I've ever seen together, because it's probably something you'll wish you never saw.
Yeah, that would be a long clip show.
Yeah, it would actually.
Yeah. What else do we have?
The Avengers.
Yes. What do you know?
They're re-releasing it to the theaters again, and with some extra material.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's anything really it's some of it's new, but it's like.
But it's all post credits.
Yeah. So they're because I think they want to hit the Avatar mark, because they haven't quite reached Avatar yet, which I thought they did, but
no, they're $50 million short.
Yeah, they're gonna make it for sure.
100%.
Because I'm gonna go see it again with
of course.
only because there's a few extra things in it. But so apparently there's like a deleted scene, a possible tribute to Stan Lee, a few surprises is what they said.
Yeah.
But there might be an intro by the Russos in it. A scene involving the Hulk. People want to see the Morgan Stark scene. Apparently, there's a scene they shot with Tony's daughter, but she was older.
Oh, really?
And it was in that kind of, where Thanos is walking around with his daughter, and it was that kind of like weird, like
other world.
Yeah, so it was supposed to be that, and those two meet up, like in she meets him years later.
Oh,
in
really?
that, like
interesting.
Sort of, but apparently they tested it, and it was so weird, people didn't understand what was going on.
Oh, okay.
So they got rid of it, but it might appear on the Blu-ray, but not in the movie itself. Apparently, it's some sort of Hulk scene.
The deleted scene?
The deleted scene.
Oh, really?
Has to do with the Hulk.
Oh, interesting.
And then there's a preview for the Spider-Man as well.
Oh, is that what that's
going to be in there as well. So, I mean, it's nothing like groundbreaking, I guess, but I mean...
Well, but I mean, the tribute to Stan Lee might in itself be worth it.
Like,
but the only issue is that apparently it's all after the credits. So you're going to see the same movie that you've seen, and watch the credits, and then stay for another 10 minutes afterwards to watch whatever. I don't know how long
I read the other day, where was it? I don't have the stats on me, but there was a guy in the States that watched Endgame like something like 1,000 times or something. It was some ridiculous amount of times. He was trying to go for the Guinness Book of World Records. He's basically seeing it like twice a day or 3 times a day or something.
I don't understand that.
No, it's like I loved it, but I mean, not three times a day's worth.
No, I can honestly say, as much as I love all the movies I see, and I love them all, I've never seen any of them that many times.
I feel like it's just someone that worked at the theater that's pulling double shifts.
Yes.
And sneaking into the show. I don't know, it's just weird. Like,
yeah, and he says, "Oh, I gotta clean up like row 5
he's just
again."
in the back creepily with a mop.
Yep.
Like watching the movie. Like,
wow, that's bizarre. Well, now he's gonna have a whole new reason to go back.
yeah, well, I guess there you go.
Fair enough. All right. One more piece of movie news, and this is a sad one for me. Mark Hamill has announced that he plans to retire after Rise of Skywalker, which, by the way, in Japan is called Dawn of Skywalker.
Kind of like that name almost better.
I do too.
Yeah,
actually,
it's actually
Dawn
kind of cool.
Yeah, I kind of prefer that.
So he's retiring as an actor?
No,
Or
he's
just
retiring from the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah, well,
which makes sense to
I
me.
thought he already was. I know he was going to be in this in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
but,
well, we know he's in it because he's in it. But
'cause I've heard rumors he might not be dead.
oh, really?
I've heard these are rumors that but of course these are just people
Trolling.
talking
Yeah.
through their buttocks.
These are all.
But it's but I've heard that he might not be dead, or he might be disappearing as a ghost. There's all sorts of theories, right?
But he'll definitely be back in it.
Yeah.
So it was hard to sort of hear that because it puts a closure on this chapter, and it's like, oh, it's kind of sad. But in reality, where else would he have gone in Star Wars? This is the end of the Star Wars saga.
Yeah,
of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, he needs to end. It needs to end with
yeah,
him.
where else would they put him? It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, I guess it's official. This will be his last Star Wars movie because that will literally be his last Star Wars movie. So moving on to TV news, we really only have one piece of TV news this time around, but it's kind of an interesting one. Apparently, Steven Spielberg is working on a, quote, super scary show for a streaming service called Quibi. Now, you may not...
How many streaming services do we need? Okay, go on.
I don't know. I thought you were cringing at the name.
Well, that's too. It's like...
I knew you'd love that Quibi. Anyway, for those of you who are not familiar with Quibi...
Stop saying that!
Well, let me tell you a little bit about Quibi.
No!
Oh, okay. It's going to be a streaming service that's exclusive to mobile devices.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting. Nobody's done that before. It's usually, sometimes it's mobile first and then they move on, Prime or whatever. But this is going to be only for mobile devices, and it's for short form entertainment. So it's not full programs, but it's short form entertainment. For example, they said they will post like a 2-hour show or a 2-hour series, but they'll only be posting chunks of it, like 7 to 10 minute chunks at a time. So instead of watching a whole 2-hour thing at once, you're just watching short bits of it. So that's kind of interesting. It's coming in April of 2020, and it's being run by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's partners with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the interesting thing. So that was the information about Quibi.
On a side note, has our attention span gotten so bad now that we can't watch anything for more than like 7 to 10? I know. With both of us have kids around the same age, like around 15 or whatever. So I know that's how they watch. It's true. Like my son will watch movies and watch shows like at his age, but my other son is like 13, and he's like only really watches YouTube videos. And it's such a weird, for me, it's just so weird. I feel like they're missing out on something, but maybe we are. I don't know. I don't want to discount YouTube at all because it's like, it does have a lot of cool stuff on it, but it's weird. It's weird because how we grew up compared to, but.
Yes. And it is hard when we're trying to watch a movie with them and they're on their second device watching something else at the same time.
At the same time, I know.
So this isn't going to help.
No.
But anyway, I needed to give you a little bit of background on Quibi because you needed to know what Quibi was in order to understand.
Don't say Quibi ever again.
It's just called Quibi. What do you want?
A character in a Pixar movie. Hey, it's Quibi. No, it's not Quibi.
Oh, all right.
All right, go on.
So we'll refer to it as the streaming service. So Steven Spielberg's going to create this super scary show, but he said it's so scary that he really wants people to only watch it at midnight, which is kind of interesting because that's the scary time, right? Yeah. So what they're going to do is try to build some sort of a timer or clock into this mobile streaming service that will literally only allow people to watch this show at midnight, which is nobody's ever done that before. So I think that's kind of a cool idea if you could do that sort of thing. So if that works, then who's to say that Netflix couldn't put up a special that will run for 1 hour, between 9 and 10 on
Yeah, because
this
they can just
day.
lock out the time. You can only watch it.
Yeah.
It just unlocks during certain
Exactly,
times.
and that could draw people back into like event programming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like in the old days where, if there was some special on TV, you had to watch it, like before the days of PVRs.
Yeah.
You had to watch it when it aired because you had no other choice. And so everybody did. Everybody was at home watching whatever it was that was on. And they could go back to that on streaming services.
Yeah.
So any, major event that they want, people will be able to tune in to watch this, premiere of this movie or whatever it is.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool
I
idea.
think that's a neat idea. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, Spielberg's in the game. He's
in the game.
One other piece of news this week, and it is from the comic book world. All of our favorite directors, all of our directors' favorite. I don't know what I'm saying there, but anyway, J.J. Abrams and his 20-year-old son Henry are working on co-writing a new 5-issue series of Spider-Man comics. And they're going to be released later this year. So I thought that was interesting. I didn't realize J.J. Abrams was a Spider-Man fan.
Apparently.
But apparently he is. So there's going to be in your local comic book store later this year a 5-issue run of Spider-Man by J.J. Abrams.
It'll be interesting to see if this falls into the timeline, because I find it interesting for comic writers because they have to always, like if someone like loses an arm or something, they have to have an arm. Not like they don't have to have an arm in another comic, right? Like
that's right.
Whether it's X-Men or Avengers or whatever. So everything, or they change their costume. Like their costume will change eventually in the other comics as well. So it'd be interesting just to see if this fits in or if it's just a separate sort of story.
Yeah, like a standalone sort of in the multiverse kind of story.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how it's gonna. There's already, I think, 3 Spider-Man comics running right now, like separate Spider-Man series. I think 2 regular Spider-Man, and then there's a Superior Spider-Man, I believe. So.
Okay, well, now there will be another one.
Yeah, there you go. The J.J. Abrams.
The J.J. Abrams. All of our favorite directors. No, all of our directors. J.J. Abrams.
Which is available as a pop figure, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you should get him.
I would get him.
Yes.
Because he's all of our favorite directors. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So there we go. Why don't, I think we've finished up the news. Why don't we go take a walk?
Let's go take a walk over. All right. Dust off the old car here.
I know you're not feeling well, so I'll just do all the running this time.
Okay. I'm not sure if that's even running. It's more like a shuffle.
It really is. It's kind of a quick jaunt. It's like a jaunt.
So in the POP-Capacitor, every week we take a look at something. Like it could be an old TV show. It could be like a toy. It could be like a movie. We look at something and we kind of re-review it.
Yes.
And we take a look back. And today we're going to look at a little movie called The Wicker Man.
Yes. And we're doing that. Let me just set this up. Doing that because in July, Ari Aster, who directed Hereditary, his follow-up movie called Midsummer is coming out, and Midsummer takes a lot of inspiration from The Wicker Man, and this is what The Wicker Man's like.
I could a tale unfold whose lightest word would harrow up thy soul, freeze thy young blood.
I am here to investigate the disappearance of a young girl. Where is Rowan Morrison?
If Rowan Morrison existed, we would know.
I suspect murder.
But Sergeant, I've already told...
In the name of God, woman, what kind of mother are you that can stand by and see your own child slaughtered?
You are the fool, Mr. Howard.
Where is Rowan Morrison? Oh, my God!
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that is creepy.
So dramatic.
Goodness. Creepy goodness.
I love how they roll their R's now. Rowan Morrison.
What is a Rowan Morrison. This movie. Okay, I got to give you a little bit of background on how I came to find this movie.
Okay.
So back in the olden days, Loop and I used to spend a lot of time on New Release Tuesdays going to Best Buy and Future Shop, which existed back then, to buy up all the new releases and to find new DVDs. And we did that every week for years. This was just a thing that we did.
Yes.
So one day we were in there and this movie appeared on the shelf called Wicker Man. And I had never seen it before. I'd sort of heard of it and it was something. I never had seen it. But the packaging on this DVD was made of wood and the Wicker Man wording and the logo was burned into the wood, like actually burned into the wood. And I was like, I don't care what this movie is like. That packaging is so cool. I'm gonna buy this thing. And so I bought it sight unseen, and that's how I came into this movie. And that was, I think, in 2004 or 2005. So it was a while back. Anyway, and so I thought, well, I should probably watch it. And so I did. And I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like I maybe have seen the movie before you had seen it.
You had, yes.
Yeah, so it's so good. Like, it's like, so this movie came out in 1973, and it's a British horror film, but I watched a documentary after that's on my version. I don't know if you watched it or not, but it's got Eli Roth and things talking about people's...
Yes. Sorry, I have seen that.
But the part of the thing they were saying is it doesn't fit into... It fits into a lot of categories.
Yes.
Because it's a murder mystery. It's kind of a horror. It's almost a musical at times because there's a lot of singing in this movie.
Yes.
But it fits in, like, the singing, it's not like they break out singing about what's going on. They kind of have these just, like, songs that, like, these sort of folktale songs and things. Yeah. So it's kind of cool in that way. But it's the thing with this movie, I find. So it's basically, let's give the quick plot lines about this police officer who goes to this island because he gets a note about this missing. Someone writes him a note about a girl went missing. So he's just there to investigate it. The island is like, he had to take a plane to get to it. It's sort of secluded, but he finds out quickly something's weird about this island. Something's not quite right about the people on it.
Yes.
And he's very religious, very straight-laced. And then you eventually find out that it's pagan. Like, it's a very pagan ritual type island, and it is weird.
Yeah, and like Luke said, he flew in and he had to land. It was like a water plane. Like this place is not connected to land. It's literally an island, completely separate. But it's a beautiful little town, and it looks like a normal little town.
Yeah.
And so for the first little while, you're watching this, and it seems like a totally ordinary village. The people are very kind and very, nice to him and welcoming, and they seem to all be very nice people. But slowly you start to realize that there's something very odd about this place.
Something pretty sinister about it. Like, it's just, and there's little, like, I watched an interview with the director. He said that there's like little sort of hints that are like buried right in front of you.
Yes.
Like, it's like that, there's something not quite right here, and you're like, well, that's strange. There's a lot of like parts where you're like, that's kind of strange. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But this movie builds really nicely. But what I love about this movie is it's so raw looking and so realistic kind of feeling.
Yes.
Without being cheesy, that it's just so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's very, like, this was, it is classified as a horror movie, but it's, first of all, it takes place all in the daylight, which horror movies generally don't.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of night scenes in it.
No, they're really not. So it's all bright daylight and bright and sunny. And like I said, this little town is quite quaint and pretty and looks...
It's like an old-timey sort of like British town or like a Scottish town or something.
Yeah, a Scottish town. So it looks very nice, and it looks totally real. Like, it looks, the people are behaving normally, and it looks real, and people act normally, and
though the people do act a little bit weird.
A little bit strange.
Like a little standoffish. A little bit like,
and a little bit too nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit too kind, and that sort of thing. But yes, it feels real. Like, the performance by Edward Woodward, who plays the police officer, is very harsh. Like, he is a very harsh police officer, very by the law, very religious man, and does not like people messing with him.
Yeah, he's not one for like kind of someone being like a jokester.
Yes.
Like, he doesn't like it's like he asks a question, he wants a direct answer from you.
Yeah.
So his character is interesting too, because he's almost unlikable in a way, because he's very by the book.
Yes.
And very like no patience with people, no like, it's like, but the thing is, the people don't really give up information that he wants. No one's direct to him. And I think he gets more, as the story goes on, he gets more and more irritated with them, right?
Yeah, because this is, it should be a very simple case. This girl's gone missing. There's going to be people in town who know who she is and will give him, some information about her. But everybody claims to not have ever seen her before, even though he has a picture. No, we've never heard of her. But he finds clues about the fact that she lives there, that she goes to this school, yet all their schoolmates claim that they don't know her.
Yeah.
And it just, there are a lot of people lying to him. And he sees right through it, because he's a police officer, and it just doesn't sit well with him. And so he gets angry and uptight and stressed, and you do too, watching him, because it just feels like something is wrong. Like, why won't these people be forthright with him?
Yeah.
You know, so it builds a lot of tension.
And then you realize like the whole town is kind of together. Like
Yes.
they're all like, but there's a cool twist at the end, which I mean the movie's been out for.
I know. Is it?
How long is it before you can
40,
spoil?
Is 40 years too long to spoil a movie? I don't
So
know.
it ends up that they are the ones that wrote the letter to him because they want to sacrifice him because he's actually a virgin.
Yes.
A male virgin, which is like rare.
Yep.
And so they bring him to the island, but they set it all up. The girl's never was dead.
That's
or
right.
missing. And but people acted like she kind of was, and they let him on essentially.
So it's
It's a very elaborate plot.
It's a really elaborate
that when
plot.
he could have just came there, they could have put a net on him and done
Yeah,
it. Like I thought,
nope.
you know, that was the only plot twist I thought.
That's right. Well, no, except that because I was thinking about this after I rewatched it. So he had to be a few things. He had to be king for a day. He had to be a fool. He had to be a
right.
virgin.
There was a bunch of things, so they had to lead him into those things.
Yeah, so they had to make him sort of the center of attention for a day, so that he'd technically be king for a day. They had this parade, this sort of pagan parade, in which one of the townspeople always is portrayed as a fool, like dressed in a Joker's outfit. So they managed to, I won't give all the details, managed to arrange that he'd be wearing the Joker's outfit, so that he became the fool. He did admit to them that he was a virgin, he was engaged, but he was still a virgin. They tempted him a couple of times through but he didn't he didn't succumb to their temptations, which proved that he was like
the right person.
The right person. So it's very elaborate, this scheme, but you don't see it coming. Like you don't,
because there's little hints that like their apples are like, they supply apples, like they grow apples in orchards and stuff, and they're not producing. And
That's
so
right.
because there's even like I remember like after when they because I hadn't watched it in a while, so I forgot kind of that part of it. And there's a part where it shows the boat and there's like a bunch of empty apple boxes.
Yes.
Like there's a few times like that where you see empty sort of like half, maybe one apple in it or whatever, kind of showing that they don't have a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because he even says at one point, don't you? I thought you guys produce fruit here or something. And,
yes.
And
he was eating at the restaurant and he ordered their pie because he knew that their produce was, and so he got the pie, but it turned out that the fruit was canned, and he found that out, and that didn't make any sense to him. But at that point in the movie, we don't know that that's anything. It's just they gave him canned fruit. So there are there are clues all the way along. So it's got really good rewatchability. So once you know how the whole thing plays out, you can go back and go, oh my gosh, the answers were right here. Like we saw them coming.
And there's a couple, the horror factors, you're probably like, this sounds like a murder mystery on the BBC.
And that's what it was for a while.
But the creepy part is that it's because it's pagan, there's a lot of like weird sort of like pagan sort of like ritual stuff. Yeah. He's like walking, he sees like a naked woman like straddling a gravestone, like this weird, these weird things are going, all these boys in class like singing and going around this maypole, like it's just weird, like these weird bizarre scenes but they're so well done and it's so creepy. I'm sorry, I love the scene where he's running through town at one point, chasing this guy that's in this sort of like horse costume or something that has this like clicking sort of like horse head, and it's like so creepy. It's like and he hears it, and then everywhere he goes, it's like kind of down like a walkway, and then he runs down there and then it's behind him, and it's like so cool.
It's really well, like it's really neat, and it is all sort of these pagan rituals. And I was watching an interview with the filmmakers, and they were talking about how the ritual of the Wicker Man itself, and the Wicker Man, we should say, because we're already spoiling this movie, so if you don't want to know anything
this
else,
is a cool twist at the end.
This is a cool twist. The Wicker Man is this massive, probably 40-foot tall, like male structure, like a sculpture made out of wicker. Yeah, and it's hollow inside, and the whole premise of this ritual is to get a virgin to be placed inside the Wicker Man, and then the Wicker Man is lit on fire and burned, and the person inside is burned along with it as a sacrifice to their. And there's all sorts
of animals in there as well. Like in the arms, there's animals, and it's like so bizarre looking.
So they have to create this. So the way it's supposed to work is ordinarily, if their crops are good, every year they just sacrifice an animal, and that's enough to make their gods happy and satisfied. But their crop completely failed last year, so they have to go beyond that, and that's why they had to move to human.
I wasn't sure, like, because they kind of looked like they were sacrificing young girls at one point, but I don't know, like once a year they'd sacrifice one.
I think earlier earlier in their history they were, but they did say when their crops are fine, it's just animals.
Okay,
because that's enough. But because their crop completely failed on them, they had no crop. They had to give the god something bigger, and that was that. But what the filmmakers were saying was that this Wicker Man structure is real. So in Celtic Scotland, like hundreds of years ago, they actually created these wicker structures in the shape of humans to burn animals and humans as sacrifice. So this is I mean, the movie is not a true story, but what they're doing, the pagan rituals are true, which makes it even scarier.
and this like Wicker Man is as creepy as you can get.
Yes.
Like this structure is creepy looking.
It is.
And so like at the end, he basically they've led him along like and given him all the pieces that he needs to follow exactly what they want him to do. Like every move he made was led on by them. Like
That's right.
this is an elaborate plot that they put together, and they reveal it all to him at the end, and then they kill him at the end in the Wicker Man.
Yeah. There's no happy ending.
No, it was like, and he's citing like stuff from the Bible while he's burning alive, but and they're all singing outside, holding hands and swaying, and I'm like, this is so creepy.
Yeah,
like it is just so creepy.
It is.
It's like, and that's the end, and it was like, that's it.
Yep,
like, we're done. And it's like, which I love because it's shocking. It's like you think, oh, he's gonna figure it out and this is gonna happen, but nope. He's like the girl was alive. Like they pretended they were going to sacrifice her, and then
the girl who was missing at the beginning. Yeah,
and then it ends up she even leads him into another trap. Like but it was like, wow, that's like this is a dark ending, man.
It's
dark.
really dark, and it was unlike any other horror movie that had ever been made up to that point.
Yeah,
because all the other horror movies, usually, you know, the creature or the bad guy or whatever is killed and there's a happier ending, but there was no happiness in this. I mean, it was sad, and you know, and it just the idea of what was going on was what made it so scary, that this guy there was no way he was getting off the island. Like they were not going to let him go. No. He had no idea, and then he's put into this position and he's killed, and it's just. And dying by fire is just so like hard. It's so
and that's the thing,
so much time movie,
because it has that 70s sort of like gritty film look that it just makes it more realistic. It reminds me of like The Exorcist, the original one, like that kind of gritty sort of like you can see the little pieces in the film, very grindhousey looking.
Yeah,
and look, it's just fantastic.
It really is. Like it totally stands up, and the fact that people are still talking about it, and the fact that this new movie that's coming out in a week or two. Midsummer draws its influence from this movie, talks a lot about how big a deal this film was.
Yeah, and it's like it's not really well known. Like if I mention to most people, they don't really know about it.
No, they don't.
But it is like, I mean, the fact that even Eli Roth was talking about it in the little documentary on it screams a lot too of how big this movie was. Like as far as an influence to people, but it is definitely worth watching. What's not worth watching, I've never seen it, and I was going to watch it after this, is the remake.
I on purpose have never seen it.
Yeah, but I got kind of inspired. I thought I'm going to watch it like right after I saw this because I really want to like compare them and see.
This is the Nicolas Cage version.
Yeah, the Nicolas Cage version, which like bombed. Yeah. Yes. I could not find it anywhere on a single streaming service. Nowhere.
Wow, that's interesting. I know it did so badly
it
when
bombed.
it came out. I don't know why they did that.
There's a part where he has a cage of bees on his head or something. Yeah, I don't know.
There's like a torture scene, and there's no torture in this movie. Like that's not what this movie's about.
This movie, it's all like in your head, like and it's just weird things happening. And you're like, what is going on in this? It's so bizarre.
Yeah. So if you're going to go out and watch this movie, even though we've given you the entire plot
but
and
it's still
you should still see it because
you'll forget half of what we said.
You will.
I'll snap my fingers. You've forgotten all the plot.
I've forgotten most of what we said.
Yeah.
But you have to watch it because the music is really important too. The lyrics of the songs are really important. But you got to make sure that you go out and watch the right version. Watch the 1973 version.
Yeah, do not watch the Nicolas Cage version. That's not the right version.
Speaking of which, there was also a sequel, and I don't know if you remember this, called The Wicker Tree.
Yeah, which I'm just reading right now.
Yeah,
I like it.
I actually own it and have never seen it.
Okay, I got to see this. Apparently it's directed by Hardy, and it's also got Christopher Lee in there as a cameo.
It's the same. I remember I bought it because I was so excited that they were making a sequel, And apparently it did terribly. It
Yeah,
did
I mean,
not too well.
Well, like look how many people have actually seen The Wicker Man. I can imagine there's a huge.
No, but I mean, like the reviews were bad.
Oh,
like,
the reviews were awful.
Yeah,
Okay.
apparently the movie wasn't good. And I really do want to watch it now because it's back, and I'm talking about this, so I should really get to watching it. But
I'd be really interested in watching it.
Me too.
Bring it in because I want to see this.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll bring it to you.
I gotta find the original Wicker Man now. The other version.
The 2006, the Nicolas Cage.
Now I just gotta see it just to see what they did with it.
Me too.
It's
I wouldn't mind seeing it
because I've avoided it specifically because I love the original so much. But now I'm far enough removed. I can probably watch it and then see how bad it is.
Well, I'll do my best to watch The Wicker Tree before our next podcast, and I'll just give you a little brief update on how the sequel is.
Okay, yeah, bring it in too when you're done because I'd love to see it because it's this movie's so good. I know it won't be anything close to this movie, but it'd be interesting to see where the storyline would have went from there and what it would have been about. Like what tree would be burnt?
I don't know.
At the end.
A wicker one, apparently.
Apparently so. But anyways, I give it a total. If you can find this, this wasn't on any of the streaming services either that I went on.
It's nowhere.
This is why people are like, I don't buy movies, but sometimes if you some of these aren't on streaming services, so if you own them, especially the older stuff, it's worth buying and keeping, right?
This movie is still on the top 100 British movies of all time list.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
So it's worth it. If you can find it, pick it up. I'm sure it'll be super cheap in some discount bin somewhere, but pick it up for sure.
Yeah, definitely get it. So yeah, I give it a total 13 wooden thumbs up. I don't know why they're wooden. I guess I don't know. I just make it that because they're wicker. I don't know. I'm trying over here.
You're trying.
Getting a little delirious. All right. Well, so thank you so much for listening. Definitely check out The Wicker Man, and we'll be back in a few weeks, I guess, with another new podcast.
Absolutely.
And make sure if you go on all our socials, we never really talk about our socials, but we're on Instagram, we are on Twitter
and Facebook,
and the Facebook,
and also YouTube.
That's right. We have a YouTube. Tell us about the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel now. So Loop and Larry, just check out Loop and Larry. You'll see all of our fabulous promos and goofiness.
People seem to love the promos.
They like the promos. I don't know.
They're so dumb, but
they're really ridiculous. But we are on there. So check out YouTube. You'll see all the videos we've made up to this point, and there are quite a few of them. And we'll be updating that every time we do a new podcast.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Produced by Matthew C. Loop and Lawrence Simner. A Loop and Larry production.
Bueller.
He likes it. Hey, Mikey.
Bueller.
Bad news. Fog is getting thicker.
And Leon's getting larger.
Inconceivable.
Brian's right. It's an Alf.
Wax on.
Does Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Wax off.